Night of the Horror presents Fresh Popcorn.
So, since with the COVID era, we are not getting a lot of fresh stuff passing across the desk here. So we're going to hop back in the Wayback Machine and head back to the year 1992 for a little retro review. Hellmaster, starring John Saxon. Hellmaster isn't a great movie, but it is an obscure treat for horror fans. There are certain movies that fall into a gray area where horror fanatics and casual horror fans don't talk them up very much. Hell, Troll 2 gets more praise than today's film, Hellmaster. Also, it's also known as Soul Stealer, I believe. And this film isn't just a copy and paste job of popular horror movies. It's a combo of all of them. 1992 was a good year for horror. We got Army of Darkness, Candyman, Sleepwalkers, and Coppola's Dracula. Shot in 5 weeks and originally titled Them, among other titles, this is a weird one. The plot centers around a college professor who uses his students as lab rats, injecting them with a serum that morphs them into murderous demon-like mutants. Already sounds somewhat familiar? Well, this film is what happens when Demons, Hellraiser, Reanimator, Night of the Demons, and Phantasm have an orgy. It's a grab bag of parts from all those franchises and more, making it feel like a fan-made film. That's actually a negative mark on this surprisingly creepy little movie. See, nothing of note is original in Hellmaster. John Saxon plays a great creepy villain, but again, it's almost like we've seen this before. The film's plot really loses ground as the story unfolds, and the writer is at loss at what to do with his characters. While all that is a negative, it's easy to look past. Hellmaster is actually entertaining. While uninspiring, it's Saxon who kind of keeps this thing together. Obviously, he's let loose here to have fun and ham it up, chewing up all the scenery in his wake. Another plus is the cinematography. This movie's fun to look at. While they could have went with a more subdued style, especially in 1992, we get a holdover from the 80s Nightmare movies. In fact, the whole movie has a Nightmare on Elm Street feel to it. Freddy Krueger would surprise no one if he popped up at any second in Hellmaster. The best part of all this is Hellmaster knows what the hell it is. Pun intended. And never tries to be any more than what it is. Acting is decent, obviously. You got John Saxon, who outshines anyone in this movie. That might, and like I said, the movie might suffer if it wasn't for him. I'm not exactly sure, but you know, you get your John Saxon here. David M. Seems to be reprising his role as Flyboy from Dawn of the Dead. He does a great job, but it skates way too far into familiar territory. John Saxon honestly was a genre master, appearing in numerous roles. This one is out there, but he handles it with the same professionalism and gravitas he always did, making what could have been a ridiculous fucking character into something legitimately creepy. Saxon could do that, make a character who's silly into something serious. His departure from the realm is severely felt in the horror community. Hellmaster is one of those odd early 1990s horror films that sticks to its inspirations and knows it isn't going for box office gold. That humbleness combined with some really good filmmaking make it a really awesome watch for any horror fan. The only issue that may turn you off is the weird reliance on Nietzsche's quote, "God is dead." Sure, it lends to the spiritual part of the narrative, but that quote is so misrepresented that it makes it seem hollow here. That's not even the complete quote. Just go look it up. Hellmaster tries to keep the 80s haunted house demon aesthetic alive into the early 1990s, and it succeeds for the most part. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's actually kind of fun. You can watch Hellmaster on horror's best streaming service, Shudder, today. While the plot isn't the best, Hellmaster packs a gory booster shot of strange that should fit into any awesome horror marathon. And that makes it what would you call this? An old batch of fresh popcorn? Anyway, that's Fresh Popcorn. Thank you.
I'm Lee Evans for Night of the Horror File, and this has been Fresh Popcorn. If you want your project featured on Fresh Popcorn, drop us a line on Twitter or through email at horrorfilemailbag@gmail.com.